Isn't it funny how time just flies by really fast? And it always seems to be like that when you're just having a great time and done a lot of good things in a short amount of time whenever you're traveling or just taking time to enjoy the nice cool breeze on October and all that stuff. And man, it just it happens all of a sudden. Like once you plan things out months in advance, and whenever these plans actually come to fruition, and you're actually enjoying it, and once it's all over, it's just like, wow. First thing you know is like the 1st of October, and you're just going to Seattle, and now you're just like getting back from your trip from Ireland and Scotland, and right now it's already Halloween. And it's just really funny how all that really it plans out and all that stuff. Like just like not really planning out, but it just seems like you're once you go through this kind of phase, like the way you use time to actually do some leisure things of traveling, or just like now you're really enjoying the nice cool atmosphere. It's just almost like time just hits the fast forward button, and it's just happens instantaneously, just like that. And it's just really funny how that works out. So yeah, for those who've been watching my last 3 videos on this channel, it looks like I've been doing, and this channel has been so I want to do some little personal commentary stuff that's outside just focusing on the algorithms, like I'm doing with the Gamerverse hubs. I've probably did mention in one of my previous videos before, where I went to Ireland and Scotland, and also after I recently did a little vlog where I just kind of recapped my trip with Ireland and Scotland in the last hotel up in Edinburgh in Scotland, and and it's just really, and so far it looks like it's just everything just seems to go by pretty fast. And especially how like I said before, whenever I was say I'm just gonna recently start my playthrough on Doom 3 as a little something that's kind of part of my Halloween tradition, just playing some classic horror game, any kind of game that has that horror vibe, especially with Doom 3, how it kind of seems like basically the black sheep of the Doom franchise, but and actually in a really positive way. And and trust me, after I just got back from vacation, while also enjoying the last 2 days of leave that I scheduled after coming back home, and just trying to slowly recuperate from that jet lag from coming home. It looks like I actually did in fact manage to finish Doom 3 on time just before Halloween, and just once again, just another milestone of just finishing another game that's been sitting on my backlog for so many years, and I can just check it off my bucket list. And and right now I'm kind of in that phase of what should I actually play next, and just personally for me, I'm just gonna just kick back and relax, or just maybe just play a little something casual, maybe play some little Ghosts and Goblins on my Super NES Classic. It's just a little bit, since I know that it's just one of those games that I personally cannot even beat from start to finish due to how difficult it can be, but it's also fun at the same time. And and right now it's just, man, I really did not know what to say, but I really am kind of hitting that catching that little bit of that nostalgia fever, especially during this time of the year. How now the weather's officially has fully cooled down, and it's really cool outside, and right now time is slowly shifting to where we're barely getting any daylight at this point, to where or from where I'm at in Montana, it looks like most days around 10 to 11 in the morning. It looks like now a lot of those days are starting to feel more like dusk at this point, unlike versus back in the summer months around July. It looks like we basically get nothing but daylight all throughout the entire day, and still get a decent amount of it around, I think it's around 9 to 10 and 30 at night, right? And now we're just slowly once again back in the cooler months again, and that's personally just my favorite time of the year, and so on. And also along with that, and now since I'm kind of experienced my last full day of leave, just the day just finally actually recuperating from that jet lag that I had, which is honestly wasn't really as bad compared to my first day in Ireland, into where I really had some pretty bad jet lag, to where I was taking so many frequent naps, as to where I had to like miss out on one of the first optional events, which actually involved going to the Guinness storehouse and actually seeing how the Guinness beer was actually made, and actually trying out the perfect pour. But fortunately, at least trying it out myself in Dublin, and it actually felt like the true experience of like how the Guinness should actually be experienced. And not only that, but just like the duration of those 12 days that I've actually been up in Ireland and Scotland, is, man, there's like so many things I've like done in a short amount of time, and just like in terms of like some of the major, and there's like even more major highlights than I could actually but I will actually like really love to talking about, but it's like kind of really hard to like get my thoughts organized due to how many of those great highlights that I had just throughout this trip, such as like some like one of my personal top three. All I could say is just definitely seeing like the Cliffs of Moher for the first time in Ireland, and then transitioning into Northern Ireland, got to see the Giant's Causeway, and also, and my favorite part of my trip in Scotland was visiting the Highlands, where one of my ancestors, who were from the MacDonald clan, and which is like a little bit of Scottish history there, is that actually that's where they were originated from, and also even one of the hotels that he did actually spend the night in throughout this trip actually was named after the McDonald's, and so that was actually pretty cool, and that's, man, just pretty awesome. Just, man, it's just like one of those experiences that I'm most definitely will be remembering for a very long time, and just like, man, and there's just like so much I could actually really talk about, but I will probably be dragging this video on for probably more than an hour if I actually did something like that, which is actually something I'm actually reserving for on my other channel called Wars of Globe Trek, where I'm currently like in the production phase of trying to get things ready for my video, just highlighting everything that I saw in Seattle, and then soon that's going to be followed by I believe it will be followed by my Ireland and Scotland trip later, which is probably going to take a lot more time. Like maybe it might take a month or two or so on, but hopefully based on my current schedule right now, my goal is to hopefully try to get the Seattle video finished and ready before or Thanksgiving actually rolls around the corner, because once again, yeah, it looks like sometime around next month I will be getting on a plane once again, and on the week of Thanksgiving, to go visit family down in Louisiana, and actually you kind of like entertain them with the stories I had throughout my trip up in Ireland and Scotland. And that's definitely going to be a good time, but it might be a little bit shorter than usual due to all the traveling expenses I had to cover throughout this year, but it'll definitely be great to actually spend some time with family especially on Thanksgiving. And also, so on top of that, after recuperating from my jet lag that I got from when I was coming back home, it looks like I actually took some time to actually sit down and actually start mapping out a lot of things I want to plan out for the future. And one of them is obviously like the next phase of my career is going to involve of upgrading to the next rank and so on, which I probably don't want to talk much about in my professional life, but it is going to be quite a major milestone and major transition that I'm actually going to experience throughout my current career, and that's going to be pretty exciting, especially since we're going to actually see that all be unfolding just right at the start of 2025. And not only that, but I'm also got some other educational goals I also do want to achieve as well, such as like maybe knock out a few more courses for grad school as well, and also, but before I actually do resume my studying for my master's program in cybersecurity studies, it looks like after I finish this one phase where I got to do some other schooling that is actually required to advance to the next rank of my career. I'm also going to try to take like some what was I gotta say? Whatever to say. Oh yeah, I think it's oh yeah, that is right. It's try to sign up for a Cert Master program and to renew my Security Plus certification, which I actually did earn back in 2022, as I did mention in one of my previous videos, which is I think it is the Security Plus 601, and now it looks like I got to upgrade it to 701, and which is something I could actually do with CEUs of just like taking courses on Udemy and all that stuff, but due to bad time management that I had out of my end, especially since how my previous job kind of effed me over. They're saying like, oh, we're gonna do like a CISA Plus boot camp, which is also like another certification offered by CompTIA that I would actually can use to help automatic renew my Security Plus certification if I actually did earn that certification. But unfortunately, they did cancel it at the last minute, so I basically did burn a lot of that time for nothing. But however, and also that's kind of also a me thing as well, since I didn't take any time to actually look into the CEUs of renew my certification, such as going to seminars or even taking time to looking up courses on Jason Dion after I first got my Security Plus certification. But that's kind of more of a me thing. But right now looks like probably the best route for me to actually efficiently get my certification renewed, and that would actually involve taking in the Cert Master course, which can take about approximately 8 to 10 hours to complete, along with being provided an exam they just gotta pass at 100% completion, which can be a little bit sound dreadful at first, but at the same time it's also pretty doable, especially since you can actually take it as many times as you want until you actually get it passed at 100%, and therefore once you get that pass, that means my Security Plus will be renewed for another 3 years, and we can actually move on from there. And then hopefully I'll be able to do a lot more better time management of just attending seminars and all the other stuff. And then also on top of that, it looks like even some my grad school courses offered for my master's in cybersecurity can also count as CEUs as well. And also outside of all the academic goals and even and also my professional goals as well, I'm also looking into seeing that it's now officially a time to make some upgrade to my specs on my PC, and basically my overall setup as a whole, to where I definitely need to buy a new monitor and also try to upgrade to a new graphics card or to where right now looks like some of the best two candidates I'm going to have for this year is actually, I think it's going to be one of the new LG monitors, which is the LG 34GP8 3A-B monitor, which actually did cost about approximately $630, as I probably saw on Amazon. And on top of that, and due to how things are with dimensions in terms of my gaming PC, which is my HP Omen that I use, it looks like the best suit for that upgrade would actually be an RTX 4070 Ti. And especially since the current graphics card that I use right now is an RTX 2060, which pretty runs decently, especially how a lot of retro games run at a very smooth frame rate and perform pretty well. But also when it comes to newer games like Halo Infinite, it's just well, yeah, sure, it looks pretty nice, but the frame rate can be a little bit choppy here and there, and especially since how my current monitor that I use, which is another LG monitor that I did bought about almost 8 years ago, is not really showing that much of an output on my end, to where I can't even see 60 frames being played on a YouTube video on it. But however, using my iPhone 12, I can actually see one of my YouTube videos run at 60 frames per second, and so, which also did give me an indicator that it looks like it's now time for me to actually give my setup an upgrade, and not just goals for 2025, which I'm definitely gonna maybe I might consider going more in depth with it in the future, maybe at the start of 2025, after I plan on doing a year in review for 2024 at sometime around December on this channel. It looks like I'm also looking about a few years ahead of time, to where now I'm going to be also try to upgrade the quality of my content on this channel to where I can probably, like, since my RTX does run recording and all that stuff like you see in one of those videos. I'm also gonna like try to invest into some other graphics cards, or in probably like around 2026 that I can use to record footage from my video game consoles, such as my PlayStation, my Xbox, and maybe like my Nintendo Switch as well, which will be like $149.95 on average, and on top of that, it looks like at some point I also will be investing into a new video camera, which I believe is going to be like I guess a Canon EOS, which is like one of the probably better candidates I'm looking into at this point, right? And which I can use to not only use like my Elgato to record footage from my consoles that I can use for my future videos on here, but also I can use that video camera to actually like maybe do some off-screen gameplay here and there, just mean like maybe playing around my Nintendo Switch, or maybe my N64, just kind of like add more flavor to my content, hopefully in a couple of years, and not only use that camera for that, but also I can also use that to use it on future vacations in the future, which is also around the time like in about a couple of years, like during the fall season, in 2026. I do plan on like I'm actually currently setting plans up to actually revisit Canada. Specifically going to be focusing on one Canadian province that I actually went to last time about a couple years ago, which is, I believe, was Alberta, Canada, which is where Banff and Jasper are originally located in, and which is going to be not only is going to be like another vacation and that I'm going to be going on, but also it's going to be part of my massive itinerary I'm planning on doing, which is going to be part of a more of a massive camping trip that I'm going to be going on, first starting off at Glacier National Park, which is only a couple hours away from where I live, and then spend a few days there, and then also camp there and drive through the Sun Road and go visit some of the hiking trails during the fall season, and I just spend a few days there, and that's when I'm gonna make my way up to Canada, and actually retire in Banff National Park, and then spend the day just like exploring in what Banff has to offer, such as checking out some of the lakes there, and also especially revisiting Lake Louise, which is actually one of my first destinations that I went to in Canada last time. I'm during the winter season, to where it was actually pretty nice and cold up there, and like so cold that you could literally walk across the lake due to how frozen solid it was, just being below freezing weather around the time. And especially like how some of the hiking trails up there, like oh man, those trails up there are certainly not a joke compared to all the hiking trails I experienced here in the United States, such as you could just do it in probably like an hour or two for some of the trails, but some of the trails up in Canada, it'll probably take hours or even like almost the entire day to actually hike them from start to finish, and going back and all that stuff, and which is actually one of the things I actually did enjoy about Canada, due to how great the nature is and all that stuff, and and just gotta say, pretty good times, and definitely looking forward to trying to experience it again, and sometime in the future, like during the fall season, to where there's not going to be all snowy and not going to have any stress of like driving on ice roads like I did in Icefields Parkway. Well, no unintentional pun intended. and that's kind of like how things are going to be at this point, and then also on top of that, and I'm not sure if it's going to be in the next 3 or 5 years. I'm going to look into trying to invest into another laptop, because my MacBook Air that I got back in 2016 back in my college years, it looks like it's basically going on life support at this point, to where it can't even function unless I connect it to a charger right now, despite the fact that I don't use it as often as I used to during my college years. But I think it's be a good time to actually upgrade, to where right now I'll have something to fall back on that's like more current and actually functions pretty well. And so yeah, that's gonna be it for today's video, guys. And I know that's just me I've been like talking a lot on there recently, and actually, well, that's like probably like one of the longest commentaries I actually did, like in about I think it's basically like more than 20 minutes based on I'm seeing on the time frame on my DaVinci Resolve. But that's kind of like, how things are right now. Like that's all I've been doing on October, and the things I'm actually planning out in the future, and just looking forward to seeing how that's all going to plan out. And also I'm pretty glad like the things I actually managed to accomplish this year in terms of like traveling. And I'm actually glad that actually you went through it, and that's just something I'm definitely going to remember for the rest of my life. And again, so that's going to be it for today's video, guys, and love you all, and I'll catch you all in the next one.